thirst beside the river. Wash the journey from your hands. Feel the comfort flow inside you. Come this far, you understand. Fear's not allowed, where dreams can be lost or found.
Hello and welcome to Healing Outside the Box. We're happy to have you join us for this great episode. My name is Traci Crampton. I'm a Reiki and EFT practitioner.
And my name is Rosemary Lachance, and I'm a Reiki practitioner. And we have with us tonight a wonderful guest, Dr. Stephen Tobin, a holistic veterinarian. Dr. Tobin's office is in Meridan, Connecticut. Dr. Tobin received his veterinarian degree in Munich, Germany, and has been practicing veterinarian medicine for over 20 years. His main practice modalities include homeopathy, herbs, and nutrition, as well as conventional medicine. Dr. Tobin is a member of the Veterinarian Botanical Medical Association, the Academy of Veterinarian Homeopathy, and is a past president of the American Holistic Veterinarian Medical Association. He writes Ask the Vet column for the internet websites doghobbyist.com and cathobbyist.com. In addition to seeing patients at his Meridan office, Dr. Tobin also does house calls and telephone consultations. How wonderful! How wonderful! Welcome, Dr. Tobin. Thank you for being here tonight.
Welcome to our show.
Thank you.
So, let's see. So you do house calls and telephone consultation. That's very nice. I like that
I know.
idea, don't you?
It's rare to hear the house
It
call.
sure is. It really
anymore.
is. So, anyway, let's start out by asking you, what's the best way to keep my pet healthy?
Well, the most important thing is to feed it properly.
Okay.
And since most people have dogs or cats, you want to give them a diet that's appropriate for those animals. So cats, for instance, are obligate carnivores. They need meat, and they should also have bone.
Huh.
Wow.
Well, if you feed them chicken or rock Cornish game hens, they'll get almost everything that they need. The one thing that they don't get by getting these store-bought meats
Right.
is the omega-3 fatty acids. They'll get some, but they're somewhat deficient. That's because most of the omega-3s are located in the nervous system and in the brain. Now, when you get a chicken, we don't tend to get them with the heads anymore.
Right.
So your pets aren't going to get those. And therefore, it would be helpful to add some omega-3 fatty acids to their food. Now, cats, being obligate carnivores, need it from an animal source. So for a cat, fish oil, salmon oil, cod liver oil is an excellent source. Dogs can also use that, but in addition, they can use flaxseed oil, things like borage oil.
Okay.
A plant source.
Excuse me. Are you saying then that it's much better to feed them meat, regular meat, like human grade meat, than the canned foods that they have today and the dry foods and so forth?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course, cats have been around a lot longer than veterinarians or canned foods, and certainly dry foods.
I know everywhere I go, and people are saying, and other regular allopathic veterinarian offices are saying that you must feed your animals dry food.
I know, they say for the tartar control and the teeth.
I never heard a veterinarian say that. For tartar control, they'll recommend the dry food. The advantage of the dry food is that it's convenient. That's it.
That's it.
What happens with dry food, in cats especially, this is very dangerous. One, it causes urinary tract infections in the females. In the males, this can lead to blockages, it leads to crystals. It often will cause them to vomit. It can lead in older cats to diabetes.
Wow.
And every cat that I've seen that is overweight is a cat that's been getting dry food.
Wow.
If you don't give them dry food, they don't become overweight.
What's in the dry food, or what is lacking in
Carbohydrates.
the? Okay,
It's
so
the
it's filled with carbohydrates.
Well, it's also lacking in water, which
Right.
is why they'll form crystals in the
Okay,
urine.
so it's
But
dehydration.
it's the carbohydrates. Cats, being obligate carnivores,
Right.
are not equipped to handle large amounts of carbohydrates.
Yeah, that can lead to sugar problems, right?
Leads to diabetes.
Diabetes, yeah.
Same with
Yep,
humans.
that happened to my cat.
Yeah.
And as you are my veterinarian,
And
I
mine as
remember
well, yeah.
way back in the beginning when I got my male cat, when you said don't feed him dry food, you know, and I gave him wet food, but he also did get some dry food, you know, and he got fat. Just like you said, the minute I took up the dry food,
I know. I started mine on dry food too, and he was having the urinary tract
Yep.
infections. Yes.
Now,
So
the
no
other
more.
thing is, you mentioned the teeth. Okay. When they get dry food, it doesn't keep their teeth clean. It'll keep it cleaner than canned food. What they really need are bones.
Bones.
When they chew through bones, they scrape the teeth clean.
Wow.
Now, with cats, you can give them really chicken bones, and it's best to give it raw. The best bones for them are going to be somewhat smaller bones. The big, heavy leg bones, thigh bones, the first wing bone, these probably are not going to interest the cat. But smaller bones, pelvis, neck bones, even breast bones, carcass, cats may be interested in that.
cats can chew the bones down to.
Of course.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, look,
Actually, my neighbor's cat chewed our pet turtle on our front step, shell and all. So I can attest that they can chew.
but if you look at what cats in the wild,
Yeah.
what do they live on?
Right.
right, you're
The
right.
birds and this.
They live on birds,
Rodent,
mice,
yeah.
small animals. Okay, and do you find little skeletons because the cats have left them?
I don't know.
And the other thing is, should it be fed raw or cooked?
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
Right.
they do better on raw food, but if you can't feed them raw food, then it's not so bad to give them the cooked food.
Right.
You know, but what do they eat in the wild? You find little
Well,
campfires.
they probably have a much healthier enzyme,
Campfire,
you know,
that's good.
body of enzymes to break that down than
Well, it actually
have.
it actually is digested better when it's raw.
right, because of the added enzymes in the food still that aren't
Exactly,
cooked
yeah.
off.
But today, raw, you'd have to get organic, right? Because
Not necessarily.
but regular things you get in the supermarket have pesticides, hormones,
Antibiotics.
Okay, so what are the
Antibiotics.
what are the other options you have of feeding your animals?
well, I mean, buy organic meat.
Okay, you can buy the meat. Most people just feed commercial pet food.
And that's probably
Yeah.
from food that's not.
Not only is it not
Organic.
organic,
It's not
in most
organic, you're right.
instances, it's what is not generally suitable for human consumption.
No.
So if you think that human meat for human beings is not so great, what's going into the pet food is the stuff that doesn't even make that great.
Most of them, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I have this canned food that I use that's human grade, and it's very, very, very low in carbohydrates. And I use that, and I feed him that, and it's human grade meat.
Well, most cat food is going to be low in carbohydrates if it's canned.
Okay.
Right, but it's human grade. In other words, no byproducts,
Yeah.
no grains, nothing in it. People don't stop to read the labels.
Right.
Supermarket cat food or dog food to me is. What do you think about it?
Substandard.
I get it in a regular pet store.
Well, it's probably a little extreme, but I kind of think of it as recycled garbage.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
That is true. That's what's in there.
But for a dog, you don't want to give those small bones that you'd give to a cat.
No, because they,
No.
yeah, that you
'Cause,
could choke on it.
look, a cat is a very careful eater. You know, they'll go, they spend a lot of time chewing their food, cutting it to small pieces, and swallowing it. Dogs don't. Dogs, what's the expression we have? They wolf it down. And what is a dog but a house wolf?
Yeah,
Yep.
that's right.
So the type of bone you want to give is one that they'll gnaw on
Okay.
And what I generally recommend are things like neck bones or the ends of the marrow bones. You know, the marrow
Right.
bone is long.
Okay.
On beef, it'll probably be about this long. Has knobby ends and the shaft in the center. Now that shaft
It's full
has
of marrow.
this very
yeah.
dense bone around it. If you were to cut it, it would look like ivory. And in the middle, you have this marrow, which is mostly fat. But the ends of these bones have a more spongy type of bone. And the dogs can scrape on that, gnaw on it. They get a lot more of it out. It retains its flavor for a lot longer because in each of these little cells that are in there, you have marrow. And they tend to gnaw on that longer. They enjoy it more. And there's, well, I won't say no, but there's much less risk of them cracking a tooth on that. So that's really the type of bone that's advantageous to give them.
Yeah, chicken's no good for them, right? Because they
Splinters or
they
something.
splinter,
I heard.
yeah, and I heard it got stuck in friends of mine, the throat. They had to pull it out. Yeah.
Yeah, it can.
So for both the animals, then is that the only way to keep their teeth clean, or is there,
Well,
is
you
there,
can take
is there
them to
another
the
way?
vet,
Yeah.
But
Oh.
if you want them to keep it clean,
Right.
then that's the best way to do it. Give them some. Look, if you look at a wolf or a cat in the wild, their teeth will be clean.
Yes.
Yes.
Why? Because they're secretly going to the vet or the
They use
dentist.
their fluoride toothpaste. Yeah.
They have their own ways of doing this. And what we should be doing in all instances
Watching
is
them.
observing what they do on their own. You know, they've had millions of years to develop these techniques. So the best that we can do is try to duplicate what they do naturally.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
Now, for those of us who want to make this change, but we have finicky pets who are addicted to the dry food, let's take that for an example. What's the best way to incorporate some of these changes into their diet?
Well, if it's a cat, just cut them off cold turkey.
Really?
For a dog, you can transition them. Just add more.
Yeah, dogs seem to be more open to trying new things than cats in my
Yeah, cats are very conservative.
history. Yeah.
So you can just stop the dry food, cold turkey.
Right. You know, the cat may complain, it may not eat for a couple of days, but it's not going to starve to death.
No, it'll eat.
Okay.
I know. How do you stop a cat from being a tuna junkie? My cat's a tuna junkie. Oh my God, he is. He's a tuna junkie.
cat
Well, you can
doesn't
hide
like
the can opener.
He just
Yeah.
knows. He could be way in the other room.
Well, there's nothing wrong with tuna
Yeah.
fish.
No,
That's
I
great.
know, but he wants it all the time. But he eats his other
Okay.
food. He does, but
Yeah.
he like leave it and come in the kitchen and go, "Where's tuna? Where's tuna? Where's tuna?" And then if I don't give it to him, he will go back and finish. So
Yeah.
just what you said. You know, they will eventually go back and eat. You know, but
And
I don't-
what's your take on indoor versus outdoor cats? Should we keep them inside or let them go out? I have a cat who actually, I feel so sorry for him because he desperately wants to be outside, but we've made the
It
decision to keep him
It
inside.
depends on the circumstances.
Okay.
If you live on a busy road, then you're better off keeping him inside. Now, if you're on a back road somewhere, you get very little traffic, or you're on a dead-end street, then there's probably not a lot of risk of the cat being hit by a car.
Okay. What
Other
about other
problems?
diseases like feline leukemia and all that they could pick up
Okay.
from other cats?
Well, we can come back to feline
Okay.
leukemia. Picking up diseases that's very low risk.
Okay.
What is risky, in Connecticut anyway, are coyotes.
We have some in our neighborhood.
Okay, and they're out mostly at night.
Okay.
But they do kill and eat cats. And small dogs too.
wow.
So you want to be careful about that. If you live in a wooded area and you know there are a lot of coyotes around, and also if there's a lot of brush and you're concerned about Lyme disease or some other tick-borne diseases, you probably want to keep your cat inside.
And the other thing is, if you have them go out, especially in the summer, the flea problem, you have to put that flea medicine on them all the time. I hate having that on there.
Well,
on them.
You're talking about a cat or a dog or
Cat,
both?
both.
Okay. Fleas aren't really a problem. Ticks are.
What?
The reason is that fleas don't jump from one animal to another.
No?
They did.
They live on whatever host they're on. Why should
Okay.
they leave? They get their food there, it's warm, they're sheltered.
Well,
But what happens is that the fleas lay their eggs on the animal. The eggs are not sticky, they fall off.
Okay.
They'll develop.
That's how they populate in your household. Okay.
Right, right.
Ah,
They'll
okay.
develop in the carpets, on the furniture. They go through the larval stage where they're eating the dander from the hair, also the droppings from the adult fleas. Then they pupate, they form a cocoon, and when they come out, they're adults and they're looking for a new host or a host, and they'll hop on a dog or a cat that happens to pass by, or if there are none around, they'll hop on your legs.
yeah.
Okay, so you know when you have a bad
That
infestation.
happened, yeah, yeah.
Okay. So the only places you're going to pick up fleas is if someone cats don't usually go visiting with people, but if someone comes with a dog and the dog has fleas and leaves some flea eggs in your house, then that can develop.
Yeah.
More likely, if you have a dog and you take it somewhere and to visit someone who has a dog or a cat that has fleas, they're hatching out all the time. So when they come out of the cocoon, they're going to look for another meal, and your dog is as tasty a bite as any. So they'll hop on, you bring them back to your house. With cats, you're less, cats are not going to go traveling to a neighbor and go in their house. But they may go under their decks,
Okay.
to an area. What you need for the fleas to develop is someplace where it's somewhat moist, not too moist. The rain that we had today
Okay.
would kill fleas, even if it was in the summer. So the fleas are easily drowned. They're not going to be outside. You're not going to, if you take your dog to a park, they're not going to pick up fleas in the park. They may pick up fleas under the grandstands,
Okay, so it's like
someplace that's
somewhere,
protected.
yeah, like a habitation.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
I
not going to
didn't know
happen in the
that.
middle of a field.
Oh,
I
learned
just figured
something
they got
new.
them
I thought they were out in
outside.
the grass and all over the place. I didn't know
No,
that.
no.
Oh,
Are there any
Ticks are a
natural
little
things we could do to like deter them,
fleas?
like
Yeah.
without resorting to the medications that are out there?
Yeah,
or-
for fleas, you can use brewer's yeast and garlic.
Okay.
Use fresh
Just like
garlic.
they say for humans, eat garlic and the mosquitoes stay away.
Yeah.
Right?
Is it?
That's what I heard.
so the people
that.
stay away
Yeah,
too.
keep everybody away. The vampires.
The vampires. Did you see any vampires anywhere? No. Eat a lot of garlic.
But what you can do to prevent ticks, keep them down, is to give the animals black walnut hull extract.
Oh,
Just put it in their food.
That's antiseptic, yeah.
And, well, that's also good against intestinal
funguses, right?
parasites.
Right.
Funguses
Yeah,
too.
It works
Funguses.
against funguses, but by putting it in their food, it makes them, I guess, unappetizing to ticks.
Right.
Who knows exactly why. But it does greatly reduce tick infestations.
Wow.
Oh, that's it. Well, audience is learning something tonight. A lot of things. And what I love about all this natural things, whether it's for a human or for an animal, if taken correctly, there's no side effects, no problems. It's just wonderful. It feels so safe. Oh, I'm so glad there's people like you that have this, but for the animals too. It's wonderful. It's just really wonderful. So now, what about vaccinations for my pet? Now, what's really, some people say too much. What?
Look, the
You tell
only
us.
vaccination that's required by law is rabies.
Okay.
And then you have a 1 year and a 3 year vaccine. I think it's best to use the 3-year vaccine because you need it less often. There's some debate about that because, especially with cats, there's some thought that the adjuvant in the vaccine can cause an irritation. Well, actually, it does cause an irritation. And that this may lead to fibrosarcomas in cats, tumors. Now, that applies for any adjuvant. At least this is the current theory. There's still some debate about it.
Okay.
Other vaccines, look, if you give a dog or a cat one shot when it's young, at somewhere between 12 and 16 weeks of age, so that's 3 to 4 months, it'll protect that animal for life. So if you give a distemper shot, canine distemper for a dog, feline distemper for a cat, along with whatever else is normally in that combination, they just need one at that age. If you give it too early, then actually this makes them more susceptible to these diseases because you're reducing maternal immunity.
Okay.
The other
That's
thing
probably what's
is
happening
that
with
they're
children,
not
too.
really prepared to develop the antibodies that they need very early. So a lot of animals are adopted 6 to 8 weeks of age.
Right.
And some breeders like to get a shot in as early as possible, so they'll give a shot at 4 weeks of age. That's probably
too
doing
young.
more harm than good.
Yeah.
Oh.
You can't be sure that the animal would be protected from that. You can be sure that it's going to reduce whatever immunity they have, which means that you then want to vaccinate it again. Now, the first vaccination is unlikely to cause any kind of problem. When you repeat it or you booster it, then you have a much greater risk of having a problem.
My daughter had some reactions to her vaccinations early on. It was because she didn't have enough of a certain immunoglobulin, so it was actually harmful to her to have the
Okay,
vaccination.
the first time she was vaccinated or after a couple of shots?
Probably after a couple. You know, they have the series, the DTaps and Hibs, and so it was probably like after the second vaccination that we noticed some reactions.
Yeah, that's usually the case. The first one is not really a problem.
Right.
Now, which vaccinations should they get and which ones shouldn't they get? Well, look, with any of them, if you give them one vaccination early on, they'll be protected for that disease. If the vaccine is any good, and some really are not very useful. As far as cats go, feline leukemia is a risk for cats when they're very small.
Right.
As they get older, they're less susceptible to feline leukemia. And by the time they're 1 year of age, if they haven't picked it up, they're not going to pick it up. So definitely do not give a cat that's over a year a
They
feline
wouldn't need
leukemia
that.
shot.
They wouldn't need that after a year. Huh.
Now, the distemper shot in cats, this is a problem. It's a very effective vaccine. But there's an association between that vaccine, and it doesn't matter if it's given young or it's given later, with hyperthyroidism in older cats.
Wow.
Okay, the exact connection in there, why that occurs, it's not really very clear.
What is distemper? I never knew what it
Yeah.
was. What is it?
Okay, it's a viral disease that's contagious amongst cats. It can be fatal for kittens. Older cats are less likely to be affected by it. It's also called feline enteritis, which maybe describes it better.
Yeah, I would think, because I
like a
keep thinking
gastro, it's
distemper.
like it affects them.
It affects the
Intestinally.
intestines, yeah.
Oh boy. And how about this other one, the heartworm? They give a vaccine for that, don't they?
Well, there is no vaccine for
There's a pill.
heartworm.
No?
Yeah, the pills.
Oh,
are-
pills. Okay.
Okay, what you're doing with the once-a-month pill is killing the microfilaria, the very small heartworms, at a particular stage. Now,
Okay.
they're susceptible for about 60 days. The whole cycle of the heartworm is one, you need a susceptible animal. You need an animal that's a source first, one that already has heartworms.
Okay.
And they produce these first stage microfilaria. These are tiny little worms that are really microscopic. They'll be picked up by mosquitoes when the mosquitoes drink blood. They undergo a molt in the mosquito, and then they become infectious. The mosquito then, when it bites another dog, will inject or can inject some of the heartworms. In the new host, they undergo another molt, and they're in that stage for about 60 days.
Wow.
And then they molt again and become no longer susceptible to these heartworm preventatives. Now, we call them preventatives, but what they actually do is kill anything that the animal has picked up in the preceding 60 days. So you give it once a month, you cover a couple of these periods.
Do you recommend that, or do you have an alternative that's
Well, I
homeopathic?
usually use a heartworm no-sode.
Okay.
It's a homeopathic preparation made from the heartworm itself.
Wow.
If you want to use the once-a-month preventative, the best way to do it is not to give it every month, all year around. You want to give it when mosquitoes have been out. You don't need to give it every
Like in the
month,
middle of winter,
30
yeah.
days. You can give it safely every 45 days, and you're going to cover that period where the microfilaria is still susceptible. And then the only times you need to give it, if you give it in Connecticut, at least in the past, with global warming,
You never
or in
know.
Florida, it may
Mosquitoes
be a
are
little
coming. I
different.
saw some bees in, when was it? December, I think early December. I saw bumblebees hanging around.
Well, so things may change. But at least in the past, in this climate, if you give it June 1st, July 15th, September 1st, and October 15th, you're going to cover that season in which the mosquitoes can transmit the microfilaria. So you only need it 4 times a year.
So in many cases, we're over-medicating our animals.
A lot of people give it every month, all
Right.
year round. That's
boy.
12 times a year.
So then for vaccinations, the rabies, once every...
Well, rabies is the only one that's required. Now, so I have to give rabies vaccinations. The other vaccines, generally, I use homeopathic no-sodes for them as well.
That's good. That's good.
Excellent.
I like that. Oh, that's a good idea.
The arthritis, yes. Dogs, older dogs and arthritis, that seems to be a common thing
Yes.
amongst
Yeah.
older dogs.
We don't see arthritis very much in cats.
No. Why is that?
Right, yeah, that's interesting.
I don't know.
That's a
They're
great
jumpers.
answer.
It's just an observation. But we do see it a lot in dogs. And there are a number of things that you can do
Okay.
to relieve that. Some people have tried glucosamine, chondroitin sulfate, and in a number of cases this works well. What I use is something called Long Life, which is a type of processed shark cartilage.
Oh, that's
And
what my
that
parents
works
use for
extremely
their
well.
arthritis, shark
Yeah.
cartilage.
Yeah,
They
it
love
works
it.
well.
They swear by
But
it.
some other things that you can do, there are anti-inflammatories that will help, things like boswellia.
We're talking natural, right? For the
various
right.
herbs, white willow bark, turmeric. These things are helpful. What's even more helpful, again, are omega-3 fatty acids. Since we're talking about a dog, you could use something like flaxseed oil or fish oils, cod liver oil. These all work very well.
Well, good.
Wow.
There's no way to prevent it, but if they get it, if you just give this to them.
There are ways of preventing it if your dog has enough vitamin C and what was the other thing? Oh, you can add gelatin to their food when they're small.
Right.
So you give
Like
enough of
from
that,
broth.
and it builds good joints.
Wow. That's terrific.
Yeah.
That is. Okay. Say my older cat has been diagnosed with early stages of kidney disease. What can I do for her?
Well, there are some homeopathic remedies that seem pretty well indicated for that. Natrium muriaticum is one of these. There's also another one that's used, eel serum. And then, it's hard to give herbs to cats. They tend not to like those things.
Right.
But there are some things that you can give cats. Standard process makes a nice combination. There are some Chinese combinations that the cats don't mind taking. Also, again, omega-3 fatty acids, coenzyme Q10, these will often help. There are a few other nutrients, things like DHEA and NAC. I don't want to throw out a lot of abbreviations.
No, I know what they
People
are,
don't
but
know.
yeah, for those of the people who don't, they'd have to write it down.
So there are
Check
some things that can be done. As the case gets more advanced, another thing that I find very useful is something called glandular therapy. In which case, what you're doing is giving some of the gland that's having problems.
Okay. Similar to like thyroid replacement, what they use for humans.
Okay, what you're using in humans is you're trying to replace the hormone itself.
Okay.
In the case of glandulars, now standard process makes a substitute, but that has the hormone removed. So you're
Wow.
giving some of the gland without the hormone, and it stimulates the gland supposedly to produce its own hormone,
Wow.
maybe to correct
Oh.
itself.
Wow.
Okay. But I like to use this in the form of foods. Not so much thyroid, but in the case of kidney problems or heart or liver problems.
You can actually give that.
Yeah, and
Part to the
what I'll
animal.
often do is have the client get beef kidney, puree it in a food processor or a blender with an equal amount of water, and then give some of that each day. Now,
Wow.
so you don't have to do this every day. You can, when you've had it blended up, and it shouldn't have a consistency like a heavy cream,
Okay.
pour it into ice cube trays and freeze it.
Good.
And then you just need to have some defrosting in the refrigerator, and the rest of them you have in your freezer.
Oh, okay.
Just
That's a
remember
good
when
way
you
to
take
do it.
one from the refrigerator to replace it with one from the freezer.
So you put it in the food? In their food?
Yeah, but usually they'll lap that up by
I
itself.
like that.
Oh, okay.
Huh? Yeah.
And the interesting thing is, animals know when they need something, when something is good for them. So if you offer them a number of things, they'll go to the things that have the nutrients that their body requires. And they'll avoid things that are harmful to them or of no use to them. So you can pretty much let them decide what they're going to eat. In fact, a lot of times when people mix dry food with some meat, or even meat and rice for their dog or their cat, you watch and see what they eat, and most of the time they're going to go to the meat. They're going to leave the rice and the vegetables.
Oh, yeah.
So we chop it up smaller and smaller so that they have to get it, but their body's not calling for that, and they're trying to avoid it. They're picking out the things that they want.
What is the mystery of the cats and dogs eating the grass?
Oh, yeah.
My cat,
Something
when he runs
medicinal.
outside, he goes right to the grass and chews on the
Well,
grass.
it's possible
used to do
that
that.
there's something that's missing in their diet.
Okay.
It's also possible that they just need some fiber.
Okay.
If you look at what a cat would eat in the wild, they're going to eat birds and mice. You know, these are small animals. They're going to be getting a fair amount of feathers or fur as well. And this provides bulk. Now, if you're feeding them canned cat food or chicken, then they're not going to be getting those things because you're not feeding them chicken with feathers.
Right.
You're feeding them chicken without feathers, without internal organs, without heads and feet. So, you know, they need a certain amount of bulk for the stool. So if they go and they start eating a lot of grass, then it's probably because they need that fiber in there. They need the bulk. However, you can test that pretty readily. If you think that it is the bulk that they need, then instead of grass, try adding some bran, wheat bran, for instance. If they stop eating the grass, then the wheat bran is providing the bulk that they need. If they still go to the grass, then there's probably something else that's in the grass that is good for their systems.
My cat Bambi used to do that. She used to head for the grass, and then a lot of times she would throw up after that.
Like, yeah.
And then she would seem to feel better. Other times it would come out in her stool.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. She did certain grass. I don't know what it was. Certain kinds of grass.
Well, one thought is that since they can stick a couple of fingers down their throat,
They're feeling sick, okay. This is the only way to get it up, right?
Yeah, that's true.
they do that to
They
help
do
them
naturally.
You know,
We don't really know what the answer is.
what it is.
But these are several possibilities.
You know, I've been hearing so many stories. So many animals have been getting cancer. More than, I mean, I've been hearing it a lot lately. Why?
I know in animals in the wild, they don't get cancer,
I
but
think we
in our
made a
households,
mistake when we took animals into the home. You know,
But that's something that we don't know.
no.
You know, we can say that, the animals that live naturally outside.
right?
don't
Maybe
get
they
sick.
do, and we're
We
just
don't
not
know.
testing them,
Because
right?
they don't
right.
go to veterinarians when they're sick.
Yeah.
Well, why
So
do you
we
think?
don't know, they'll go and they may hide and die there.
Yeah.
So anything that we would say about that is kind of just an assumption.
Speculative, right?
Yeah, it's just an assumption on our part.
So the fact that what I just said about the cancer, do you think it's from the foods that,
A lot of it, I'm sure.
Yeah,
is,
especially the kind in the supermarkets and stuff,
And
and
our
the
environments
byproducts.
that, we take them into our households and the cleaning products and the,
Yeah, they're exposed
Yeah.
to other things.
Right.
Yeah.
On the other hand, these animals probably are living longer
right,
than they do out in the wild.
in the wild, right?
Well, yeah.
So, but again, this is speculation, because we don't really know what the average lifespan of a barn cat is,
Right.
Or say a village dog somewhere in some third world village. We don't know what that is.
I have a question regarding
Sure.
diagnoses. How does your diagnostics differ from an allopathic veterinarian?
Well, usually we'd make two types of diagnosis.
Okay.
One is similar or the same as an allopathic veterinarian's
Okay.
diagnosis. If it's, say, parvovirus or a torn cruciate ligament or a flea allergy dermatitis, you want to know what that is because you can then kind of guide your therapy toward that.
Right.
Homeopathically, we use a different type of diagnosis. We're looking for the strange, rare, and unique symptoms that develop. And then we've tried to find a remedy that also shows these symptoms. And when we find that, when we match the remedy with the patient, we don't have to give it a name. We don't have to say, well, this is flea allergy dermatitis.
Right.
It's just that, well, there's a redness there. It comes up at a certain time every year, and it looks like this. This makes it better. This makes it worse. And then you find a remedy that matches that.
And I know
Now,
with homeopathics, you're matching like the temperament too of
Yeah.
the individual. So is that
Well, you
more
try-
difficult with the animal because they are not going to
Well,
talk back to you?
no. No, as long as the owner knows their animal
Right.
pretty well, it's kind of like trying to treat a baby.
True.
They don't tell you how they feel either.
No.
In Chinese medicine, they do, again, a different type of diagnosis. They're looking at how the tongue reacts, the pulses. They do it some different ways. All of these things are valid. Now, you may not come up with the same cure, but each system can have its own cure. And what is important is curing the individual of their problem.
Right.
What about a puppy who eats stool of his own or other animals, or even a dog will eat a cat stool? You know, how can they stop from doing that, and why do they do that?
Okay, they usually do that because there's something lacking in their own diet.
Oh.
Now, you can change their food. So, look, either they're not taking in the nutrients they need, or they're not absorbing the nutrients they need. So sometimes it's due to a problem in digesting the food. More likely, it's just a food that is not providing everything they need, so they're looking for other sources.
Wow.
You know, stool is going to be pretty high in vitamins because there's a lot of bacteria there. So what you can do if you have a dog that's eating stool, one, try giving it meat because you're providing a lot of the nutrients that it needs there.
Right.
If that doesn't seem to help, try adding digestive enzymes, especially
Okay.
proteases, to the food. Between those two, that usually will stop it.
Okay, well, in a case like that, they should see you, or a veterinarian like you, because to know how much to give. That's so important, you know, how much should they give? Teaspoon, tablespoon, half, this, you know, that kind of thing. So that's what they need to do. They shouldn't just take it upon themselves. I know.
Yeah, but they could also just switch the diet, take them off the dry
Yeah,
food,
see
Yeah.
what
and put them
happens.
on fresh meat
right,
and bone.
and see, and see what happens.
And
Yeah.
what about milk for cats? I know people are of the mindset that, you know, milk is good for cats.
But all
I
young
know,
mammals start off drinking milk.
Right, but it's cow's milk versus their own milk.
Okay, you know, and it's pasteurized and homogenized, and
Right.
you know, each one of these things has its proponents and opponents. But you can, look, in barn cats, they'll drink milk, and as long as they live in that barn, they get milk every day, they do fine. After a while, it's not that they lose the enzyme, but when they stop taking in the milk, they don't need that enzyme anymore, so they
Right.
stop producing it. So this works for really any mammal.
Wow.
Well, milk is really designed for
The
young
young,
mammals, and then later it's not, this enzyme that'll break down the lactose is not needed anymore.
That's probably why we all have so many issues with lactose intolerance as adults. Yeah.
Well, yeah, if you stop taking the milk at some point, you know, maybe you go on to a Coca-Cola diet. And other dairy products don't have the lactose because all cheeses and yogurts,
Right,
these are all fermented products. So the lactose is no longer there. That's not an issue. But if you're taking milk, then you're getting the lactose, and this can cause digestive upsets. Now, the same thing happens with dogs and cats. If every week you give your cat a little bit of milk, then, say after 5 or 6 years, you decided, well, I'm going to give it a lot more milk again. It probably will do fine. But if you haven't given it any milk in 6 years,
Then you, yeah.
and then give it to it, you're going to have a mess in your house. You know, and what you'll see is that you have, the cat can't digest it, so the bacteria in the intestines, starts digesting it, which
yeah.
means you're going to have diarrhea and you're going to have gas.
Wow. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I remember one cat I had used to have gas. I could hear the stomach going boop, 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 beep, boop, boop, boop. I didn't give her milk, but she had problems with her stomach like that. That kind of noise. You wouldn't think cats would have that.
The best thing to do in an instance like that is to give it a probiotic.
Yeah.
In fact, anytime you have a cat or a dog that has diarrhea, certainly one of the main things you should do is give it probiotic.
Yes.
Now, the probiotic, you can give it as a capsule, you can open it up, mix it with the food. Once that's normalized, you can keep it normal just by giving it plain yogurt each day.
I do that with my cat on occasion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But do it daily. At each meal, put in a teaspoon of yogurt. And that'll keep its stools normal.
I give my cat the acidophilus powder made for children.
That works well, yeah.
Little quarter teaspoon twice a day in the food, and that helps. And some vitamin C, and that helps, So that's good. And I like the way we control the sugar. For all of you out here who have a cat that may be diabetic, sometimes it's not so bad, right, that you have to have insulin. My cat particularly, you told me what to give it, naturally, and it helped. The cat doesn't have the problem now, so.
If you reduce the carbohydrates,
Right.
then
Not so much
you
stress
can
on the.
at least greatly reduce the
adrenals,
insulin, if not get them off insulin completely. There are also various herbs that are useful, but again,
Cats.
it's a problem with cats.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
My cat, I don't know why this is. This question popped into my head, but like at Christmas time, it was obsessed with drinking the pine
Eggnog?
water.
Oh.
Yeah, I wish. Would calmed him down a bit. No, but he would drink all the water from the tree. Is there
Yeah,
a
mine
reason they're
too.
attracted to that water
The
with
water in
the
the tree.
pine?
Mine too used to do that.
I couldn't
No,
keep him
there's-
away from it.
And no other water?
He wouldn't. He would drink that in place of his water.
Well, there's probably something in the tree
Okay.
that was appealing to him.
Yeah.
You didn't get sick or anything either. Mine did
No,
that
I
too.
know. I was worried because I never saw him
They're
drink so much.
seldom going to eat things that make them sick.
They
Wow.
know, huh? They have their.
Yeah, I mean, look, we know, if you look at larger animals, we know that ewes are toxic to most species. But we don't find a lot of ewes being eaten. Animals will avoid these
Yeah, they
things
just know.
that they know are poisonous, even if they've never had experience with it before. Because they can sense when something is good for them and when it's not good for them. Now, the only times you do have some kind of plant toxicity like that is when there's nothing else that they have to eat.
Huh.
Or at least nothing else appealing. If you have a green yew versus straw, there's probably a lot that's in the yew that would be good for them. In total, it's going to be toxic.
Right.
But the straw, there's not a lot of nutrients in there. So what are they going to get out of that? They'll eat. That's an instance where they're more likely to eat something poisonous than not. But in most cases, they don't do that.
Wow. What about nervousness in pets?
What about
Yeah,
nervousness
yeah.
in people?
I know. What do we
Nervous
do?
people have nervous pets.
That's true.
That's
Yes.
very
Yeah.
true.
You're right. You're
Yeah.
right. That is true. That happens. What about? I had a cat who had a problem. Used to pee outside the litter box.
Oh yeah.
Instead of inside.
yeah,
Why are they
territorial.
doing that? What can be
Okay,
done?
There are a couple of possible reasons for that. The first thing you should do is have a urine sample checked and see if there's a urinary tract infection.
That's the only time my cat peed outside the litter
Really?
box was
That's
a urinary
pretty
tract
common.
infection. Yep.
And you can do that. Just bring a urine sample too of that, and they'll check that. The other likelihood is a social issue. You almost never see it when you have just one cat in a house. When you have more than one cat, you have issues with the litter box. And often what it is that one cat won't let another cat use the litter box.
Oh.
Now you can resolve that, one, by not adopting more cats. Two, because cats are pretty much asocial animals. What do we call a group of cats that live together?
What?
Yeah, we don't have a word for it.
Oh, like herd or, like, I get you now. We don't have a word
Yeah,
for it.
because it's not a normal state.
Flock.
It's not something you
Right.
would see.
It's interesting. I never
So
thought of
when you have several cats in a household, and they're indoor cats, they can't get out, and they can't avoid each other, that's when you begin having some social issues. And one of them may be where one cat is not letting another cat use the litter box. It's his way of showing dominance. So to resolve that, you can place several litter boxes in different areas of the house.
Oh.
Having 3 litter boxes so that he always has a choice is not much help if they're lined up one next to the other.
Right, yeah,
people
so
do
that they
that.
each feel they have their
Yeah.
own territory.
But
Yep.
if you have it so that one cat can't block the other cat from getting to all the litter boxes.
Oh.
If the cat likes to be in, say, the kitchen, and there's one door out of the kitchen, the litter box is in, say, one in the basement, one in an upstairs bathroom, one on the main floor bathroom, and the cat has to pass through one door to get to any of those, well, the other cat just has to sit in that doorway and not
wow.
let the cat pass.
Gee,
So,
they would do that, huh?
yeah.
Wow.
Or the other thing is that they mark their territory. So often you'll see that they're not using the litter box, but he's peeing by the front door, or by the slider, or under a window, because this is where he sees another cat outside, or scents another cat outside. So he's marking that entryway to tell the other cat, hey, this is my territory. So that's essentially the problems that you have there.
How about the clawing? I know it's natural for cats to scratch, but I don't know. I can't seem to get
Well,
my cat to
scratching.
prefer the cat post as opposed to the chair.
There are different types.
My cat does the cat post, thank God.
Okay, what they're doing is trying to sharpen their claws.
Right.
And they don't sharpen their claws like you would sharpen a knife. What they're doing is trying to pull a part of the claw
Oh,
off.
the edges that
so
you find.
it
Yeah.
leaves a sharp edge.
Yeah,
I
I've
mean,
seen
really-
that.
Okay, this may seem a little bit out of it, but I once took a course in prehistoric anthropology, and they're talking about stone tools. Well, in the Neolithic age, they honed a tool to get an edge on it.
Okay.
Paleolithic, they would chip away at the stone tool, so you break off a piece and it leaves a sharp edge.
Okay, and that's essentially.
And that's
what they're doing.
essentially what's happening. When you sharpen a knife, you're honing it.
Yeah.
When the cat is sharpening its claws, it's not honing it, it's just pulling away part of its claw to leave a sharp point.
Yeah, 'cause I see the little pieces by the
Exactly.
scratch post where he
Exactly.
does
Do you feel,
that.
I know a lot of people declaw their cats. Is that that's an inhumane?
Yeah, what do you think about
Well,
declaw?
how would you like the first tip joint of your finger cut off?
Yeah.
I
And
know.
all of them.
I know.
If your cat is not using the scratching post, try a different type. One that they do like, in most cases, and cats are very individual, are the type that are made out of like a stack of cardboard and then put on end.
Okay. Tried that.
Okay. You
Yeah, no,
probably
I got
have
it.
one that's rope or carpet.
Mine's
Carpet. I just
It's real
recently
heavy,
got a
thick
carpet one. We've been through the rope one,
Yeah.
and we've been through the cardboard one. We're now
you did go
trying
through the
a
cardboard
rope
one.
one. Yeah, no,
And the cat
not
didn't like
interested.
that.
No.
Yeah. Okay. A lot of cats do. The other thing you might try is putting catnip.
Yeah, the carpet that we have has
Yeah.
the catnip in the back, and he likes it. He lays on it, but he doesn't scratch it. He scratches
okay.
everything else.
Yeah.
We'll keep trying. We'll
Yeah,
keep trying.
Cats are very much individuals, so sometimes it's a problem.
Yeah. I was gonna say something before and I forgot.
Maybe just.
I'm able to clip my cat's claws, which is nice. I'm able to do it.
Oh, he
Sit him on
lets
my
you do
lap
that?
and do it. He'll hit
We
me a
have to
couple
take the
times.
whole
but
family to-
Yeah, but he'd be able to do that. Let's see. What can we do about this? If a dog is very itchy or animal's very itchy, if there's anything you can do for the skin?
Yeah, first of all, check for fleas and external parasites. If that's clear, you might try using the omega-3 fatty acids.
Okay.
Because often they'll itch when they're not there. In fact, omega-3s tend to be anti-inflammatory. So it's useful whenever there's some kind of inflammation. You could try adding that to the food. Sometimes it's a dietary deficiency other than omega-3s. If that doesn't work, then have their thyroid tested.
Okay.
And this is for dogs. Cats don't become hypothyroid. But dogs that are itchy and have dull coats, you may want to add, check the thyroid anyway. Now, some of the other things that point to thyroid are when the dogs are overweight, when they have ear problems. Sometimes dogs that have seizures are hypothyroid.
Oh.
Wow.
And if they've been shaved at some point, even a small spot, if they're severely hypothyroid, it takes a long time for this hair to grow back.
Okay.
Also, the hair,
right.
they shed very late, sometimes like a season late.
Wow.
So
Well,
all
This
of
has
these
been
things,
interesting.
Yes,
You've
very.
given our audience so
Yeah.
many like practical things that they could do with their pets, and we want to give some information about where they
how
can
they can get
contact
a hold of you and
because I know
everything.
that-
We're going to do that now. People can get a hold of you. We'll bring that up.
There aren't too many holistic
Okay.
vets in this area.
To
so-
contact Traci and myself, for me, you can call 627-7966. For Traci, it's 203-232-3405. Or if you have any questions about tonight's show or any other show, you can email your questions to healoutsidethebox@yahoo.com. For show schedules, you can visit the WNH-TV
right, or
or
entirebeing.com.
entirebeing.com or rosemarylachance.com. To get in touch with Stephen Tobin, Dr. Tobin, his email is StephenTobin3, the number 3, at cox.net. Or you can call him at 203-238-9863.
Okay. And we're going to share a quote with you, as we always do at the end of our show. And here we go. Change, rather than being a destructive force, is a creative and life-enriching force. It stimulates us to reach our highest potential. What we really should fear is if our lives do not change enough.
Thank you for being on our show. It was so
pleasure.
nice to have you. So much wonderful
Thank
information.
you very
my
much.
pleasure.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad that the people can know
And
that you are here, to help
Everybody,
them.
thank you, and join us again.
Good night, everyone. Thank you. See you next time.
As you look out through the window to the world you have made, always know you are the vision. See the truth, darkness fade.